Hello and welcome everybody, Octopus, and today I'm bringing to you the Venezia, the tier 10 Italian cruiser. It is a fairly unique ship in the sense that Venezia has these semi-armor piercing shells, SAP, which can deal a significant amount of damage on every kind of broadsiding target, but you don't have HE. So you will not deal damage over time like all the other cruisers in the game besides Minotaur. You have another unique feature, which is the scrolling smoke. That is a smoke curtain that completely covers your ship in the exact moment when you use the consumable, and it lasts for like, I don't know, is it 35 seconds, 40 seconds? I'm not sure here, we'll see it during the game. But yeah, it is a very unique ship in this sense. It's a fairly fast cruiser. You don't have the best concealment. You can reach up to 12.3, 12.4 concealment with the full stealth build. Your base reload is 20 seconds, which is dreadful for a cruiser. But you have 15 203mm guns, which is a very scary broadside if you can use all of your guns. The AP are good on broadsiding targets, but as soon as the targets just angle a little bit, the AP are quite underwhelming. So use them as you can see here. I'm using my chronic smoke, and it lasts for 40 seconds. And as you saw, as soon as we popped our smoke, we immediately went undetected completely. Our smoke firing penalty in the smoke is 9.9 kilometers, which is huge, so keep that in mind. Here in this buffalo, it's showing me a fair amount of broadside, so I switched to AP. Let's see what we can get here. 7 overburns because I shot a little bit too high, but if you can aim correctly, you can have far better results than this.
Smoke screen set.
Even if he's not completely full broadside, he's still giving me a good angle. This time I aim a little bit lower, and this time is 3 citadels, 13 shells hit out of 15, so this buffalo is pretty much dead. Keep in mind that I'm running Sansonetti, the Italian special captain on my Venezia, which has 3 talents. The first one is Triumphant Hull. That is, if you kill one ship, it will give you extra range. And Venezia is a very demanding ship when it comes to range. So if you can afford Sansonetti and you are planning on playing a lot Venezia and Italian ships in general, Sansonetti is very much recommended.
Attention, support that target.
What else can I say about Venezia? It has a very good turning circle radius, even if the rudder shift time is not the best. But once you start turning, your ship is very agile. And yeah, Venezia should be played like a flanking cruiser, flanking/kiting cruiser. Even if you don't have HE, you lack the power to just push in the early game. So you need time to make yourself to make your damage count into the game, because your damage output is not impressive since you don't score damage over time with fires. So you need time for your SAP damage to become useful and influence the game basically. Your SAP is exceptionally good on DDs if you can aim correctly and the dispersion doesn't troll you. This Grozovoi, 6 pence only for 9k, could have been much more devastating. You can almost one-shot DDs if you are at close range and you aim correctly. So DDs are, yeah, they should be very scared from Venezia's. One thing that I didn't mention are torpedoes. You have one triple launcher per side, and your torpedoes are fairly slow. They have a base speed of 56 knots. Their concealment is good, but their range is 13.5 kilometers base. You can even take torpedo acceleration on Venezia, because the torpedo range will still be quite good, and it will give you 5 knots of speed, which is kind of nice if you have such low speed torpedoes. This Yugomo is heavily misplaying. He gets very lucky with the dispersion, only 4 hits, I'm not sure how, but yeah, he manages to just mitigate the first volley damage. But he's well inside his spotting range, and there's no way he can survive this. So as you can see, the damage that you can do on DDs if they misplay and they get spotted is simply devastating. The armor on Venezia is very good because you have a 40 millimeters lower bow belt, which is awesome because
Smoke generator started.
it prevents you to be seated from the front most of the times from BB-AP shells, even if your upper nose is 25 millimeters. So you can still be overmatched by almost every battleship. All battleships that you will face can overmatch this part. But all in all, Venezia is a fairly tanky cruiser, if you don't give broadside, of course. It's also quite fast, and as I said, it is agile in the sense that when you start turning, your turn will be very steep, so you're not an easy target to hit, especially at medium to long ranges. Here I'm kind of pushing in because we got rid of the 2 DDs. There's only a Neptune on this flank that is which is not really a threat. So I'm pushing these 2 Bismarcks here, even if this is a very aggressive maneuver, and I don't recommend you to do this kind of stuff with Venezia, especially if you don't have your Prolonged Smoke consumable available, because I just used it to just avoid the crossfire between the Neptune and the Bismarck before. So, and here I'm about to face a Bismarck in a close quarters situation, so I'm not recommending you to do what I'm doing here, but if it happens to you to be forced to engage a battleship in close range, you can do something about it. Unfortunately for me, this Bismarck is a full secondary Bismarck, and as you will see that his secondary armament will score a ton of damage on me, on my superstructure, and on my 25 millimeters upper nose. As you can see, even from this distance, you are able to dodge incoming fire for a little bit at least, since yeah, your turning circle radius is very good. Unfortunately, we lost one of our torpedo tubes launchers because of the Neptune APs. It happens to you to lose your torpedo launchers pretty frequently. So try to angle in order to avoid the enemy from destroying your torpedo launchers. As you saw, we just angled, so the Bismarck just scored a bunch of ricochets on our armor belt. Here I'm aiming way too low, and I lost the other torpedo tubes from the Bismarck secondaries, and this is not something that you can avoid. This is the second talent of Sansonetti, Desperate Resistance. When you score more than 100 hits with your main battery guns, it activates this talent that at the moment I can't really recall what it gives you. I will have to double check this once I go into port. The third talent of Sansonetti is activated when you when you achieve the Confederate medal, and it gives you better reload on your main battery and your torpedo tubes, but unfortunately you will not see this talent activated for our torpedo tubes in this gameplay, since we lost both our torpedo tubes from both sides. As I said, our Sansonetti has a very cool feature, which is the improved expert loader skill, like John Doe for the Americans. So, and this is a very cool skill to spec for, because it allows you to switch from SAP to AP or vice versa in like 3-4 seconds. Let's see what we can do with the AP with this Volens. He's very lucky. We only scored 5 overpens. Maybe I also aimed a little bit. I took a little bit too much lead, but in general, light cruisers are a very juicy target for you if they give you full broadside at any range. With your AP, you can do consistent damage. Now this match is pretty much won.
Smoke generator started.
So here I'm just trying to round up my damage, basically. I used my last smoke to just go undetected, because I didn't want to face crossfire between the Neptune and this Yamato. Once again, this consumable is very useful when you find yourself in an overextended position and you want to just disengage. You stop shooting, and if there are no radars and no hydros in range, you should be able to go undetected and disengage and find a better position on the map. In this case, I'm using this crawling smoke to just be able to freely farm the broadside of this Yamato. As you can see, broadside targets, if you can aim for the upper belt, you can easily penetrate every kind of broadside, basically. So your best targets are broadside in DVs, because the damage that you will do to them with SAP is huge. But as I said, whenever you find a broadsiding cruiser, even at medium ranges, you can freely switch to AP and you will deal massive damage to them. Here I'm checking this Kutuzov, I'm waiting for my guns. As you can see, I switched to AP in 4 seconds, and we'll see about this AP on the Kutuzov. There we go. As you can see, 4 citadels. Here we are activating Confederate, which is Scorch of Fury, the last talent of Sansonetti. This Neptune is hugging the border, so this makes things a little bit more difficult for us, because ships that are hugging borders are there. It is pretty much difficult to lead the shells, and you don't really know what they are doing. Like this Neptune is not even trying to leave the border. I'm not sure what are his plans. So by now my only choice here is to just either flee or charge the Neptune. I use my last heal because I'm expecting the Neptune to open up on me. I keep my AP even if the Neptune is angling in. And since he's charging at me, I happily choose to kite, because whenever someone is engaging you, if you can, just kite away, don't charge in a Venezia. I'm switching to SAP here, because the damage that we can pump out on the Neptune is huge. Meanwhile, we are also contesting B, just to round up our basic experience. As you can see, he tries to angle in, but Venezia has these improved penetration angles on the SAP that if you don't angle perfectly, they will score penetrations on your superstructure and on your bow. So Venezia is a very scary ship to face on close to medium ranges in a 1v1 fight. If you cannot overmatch Venezia and you cannot cripple it down with HE, it is a very hard opponent to face for any cruiser, especially if you don't have HE. So you cannot score fires and yada yada, like this Neptune, for example. Here we are angling in because we are very low HP. We don't have any more our hero consumables. So I'm just shooting my rear guns. So I hopefully mitigate the AP incoming damage from the Neptune, while he cannot really mitigate too much my sap damage. As you can see, my superstructure is pretty much saturated, but as you saw, the game ended, so I don't know, maybe the Neptune would have killed me, maybe not. We will never know. So these are the final results. 222k damage, which is a remarkable result for a Venezia. 2 kills, 7 citadels, 2 torpedo hits, Confederate, Dreadnought, First Blood and High Caliber. The damage is fairly good in the sense that in Venezia, if you play correctly, it will be not that difficult for you to score decent damage around 90k, 100k, but it will be fairly difficult for you, or for me, at least for me, it was fairly difficult to score consistently high damage games, like for example this one, because you simply don't have the DPM to just pump out consistently constant volleys on broadside targets. Of course, there will be the case that when you score like 250k damage in one match and you do Kraken and devastate everything, but on average Venezia is a very solid ship, but you will struggle to score high damage games consistently, as I said. So moving on, 2.5k base experience, more than 100k, 1000k, yeah, 1k, sorry, more than the second one in the team, so very good result for us. And as you can see, 146k came from our SAP. Armor piercing shells, 58k, which is good. It can be even more if you find more cruisers that give you full broadside and you score a bunch of citadels. 18k from torpedoes. This is very much situational. It doesn't happen to you to score too much torpedo hits because as I said, the speed of these torpedoes is fairly slow, but it is kind of useful in YOLO situations, even if the damage output of these torpedoes is not the best. So if you are YOLOing a full HP target, don't expect to devastate him with your torpedoes, because yeah, the damage is simply not there to do that. Of course, your main targets are cruisers and DDs and battleships if they give you full broadside. Otherwise, yeah, your bread and butter are your set that, as you can see, can deal massive damage. Almost 3 million potential damage in the Venezia, which is kind of expected because you are a fairly tanky cruiser and you are a good kiting cruiser, in my opinion at least. So 3 million potential damage is respectable. We tanked 84k of damage, which is very good, and a little bit of spotting damage. Yeah, pretty much a very consistent game all in all. Credit wise, Venezia is not a credit farmer, and as I said, you will struggle having these huge games damage wise and XP wise. No, well, XP wise no, but damage wise yes. So the credit earnings will not be that good. Keep this in mind. So this is my Venezia. Let's start with the modules. Of course, you want to run premium consumables. Don't bother with the fighter. Spotting effort is much more useful, especially if you don't have Sansonetti with his talent. You will lack range, so take spotting aircraft too. Upgrade wise, if you have this, as I said, your spotting effort is very useful and you want to enhance this as much as you can. So keep spotting aircraft modification 1. This is the core upgrade. If you don't have this, you keep main armament modification 1 to just prevent the enemy from incapacitating your turrets and especially your torpedo tubes, because as you saw, if you don't have this upgrade, it will happen to you to lose the torpedo tubes fairly often. Then Here I'm running this, but you can happily switch to this one. To be honest, it will be much more useful, even if you tend to lose a little bit your rudder shift while you are kiting, but this is up to you almost basically. Here I'm using aiming system modification because at longer ranges the dispersion of Venezia is not impressive, but you can even skip this and take maybe main battery modification 2 for a better turning traverse speed, because as you can see with the build that I'm running it is 29.6, which is quite slow for a cruiser, so you can switch this for main battery modification 2 if you want. Then you take steering gears modification 1 because, as I said, the turning circle radius is quite good at 760, but your rudder shift time without this, as you can see if we demount this, is 11.6, which is almost battleship rudder shift time. So you want to mitigate this as much as you can. So you have to take this. Concealment, you can fancy about taking steering gear modification 2 to be much more agile and dodge incoming BBAP shells, but you lose one of the best tools in the game, which is concealment. So if you want to do some memes in randoms, this is okay if you can manage it, but my recommended upgrade is concealment. And then main battery modification 3, if you don't have Sansonetti and you don't want to use the spotting aircraft consumable, you can fancy on going for gunfire control system modification 2 for extra range. But as I said, the main the default reload of your guns is 20 seconds, and with this you cut it down to 17.6. So this is much more valuable because you'll have better DPM. Speaking of the torpedoes, yeah, this is the torpedo range, 55 knots, and the damage of the torpedoes is 13.9k, which is not very good. It's pretty underwhelming. Your reload is very good, but other than that, these torpedoes are pretty underwhelming. They can be useful in certain situations, but don't rely on them. Captain wise, as I said, I have Luigi Sansonetti because of these 3 talents, which are Scorched by Fury, which is activated when you achieve the Confederate medal, and it gives you minus 15% only on your main battery, sorry, not your torpedo tubes, as I said. You have Triumphant Hull, which when you destroy an enemy ship, it gives you plus 8% main battery fire range, which is awesome. And finally, Desperate Resistance, which gives you 10% action time of all consumables when you score more than 100 main battery hits. This is very good when you because this increases the duration of your heal and especially your smoke, which is very nice. Also, Sansonetti has enhanced expert loader, which is, instead of minus 50% is minus 75% time when you switch from SAP to AP, for example. And another enhanced skill is torpedo acceleration, which can be useful on Venezia. You can go for it if you want, but my recommended build for Venezia is priority target, adrenaline rush, superintendent, and concealment. This is the base. Then you have a lot of options on Venezia. I'm taking vigilance because Venezia can't slot hydroacoustic search, and I happen to face a lot of DDs in my Venezia, and that means torpedoes. So this can be very useful. But if you don't want to go for vigilance because, I don't know, you stay at range and you don't happen to eat a lot of torpedoes, you can take, for example, RPF, because if you have a DD buddy that is with you that maybe doesn't have RPF, you can slot RPF, so you can chase down enemy DDs. You can even go for fire prevention, because you will come under a lot of HE fire when you face other cruisers. so reducing the chance of being under fire is always good. And you have some flexibility here. You can even go for basics of survivability. It's completely up to you. You can even just take concealment expert and use these 3 points on a lot of skills with 2 points, because a lot of them are pretty good for Venezia. As I said, you can go for torpedo acceleration, because of this will make your torpedoes a little bit better. You can even go for expert marksman, since your turret rotation is very slow. So this is up to you. I'm taking also last 10 because, as I said, it happens to you to lose a lot of time in your rudder shift while you are kiting away. So I want to preserve my repair party, my damage control party, sorry, for when I'm under fire. And finally, I take Jack of all trades. I'm not sure why I have this this skill right now active. I think it was from when I was grinding the line and I was using the fighter, not the spotting aircraft. But this is completely useless, so don't take this. Go for preventive maintenance, and of course expert loader, because as I said, this is a very useful skill. Because as you saw, you can switch ammo type and black cruisers that give you full broadside with your AP. Flags, yeah, the standard ones. Detonation, if you are not running the upgrade for the detonation. Reduced duration of fires, heal, speed, and consumables. These 3 are kind of mandatory. These 2 are a very good plus. Of course, you don't want to take fire because you don't have HE. You can take the AA flag, because your AA is fairly good in the sense that your continuous damage is pretty high, but the problem is that your firing range is only 4.6, which is dreadful. But once the planes come into your AA range, yeah, you will deal consistent damage to them. The fact is that when they reach 4.6 kilometers, they are almost already ready to fire their salvo, if they are rockets, torpedoes, or bombs. So I don't know. I think that Venezia should have at least, like Hindenburg, 5.2 kilometers of AAA, because 4.6 at tier 10 is pretty much underwhelming. But yeah. So this is it. This is my Venezia commentary, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. Remember to subscribe to the channel to help me grow, and for more content like this, you can check out my Twitch link in the description of the video, where I am streaming World of Warships and more. And I'll catch you next time.